Hi, this is Dr. St. Fleur, and the title of this video is What is Chemistry? Now, the purpose of this video is to give you a better sense of chemistry as a course and what you're going to learn in this class. But rather than just go through that, I thought it would be better to tell you a little story. The story about how I fell in love with chemistry as a sophomore. So first off, growing up, I've always enjoyed learning, and in particular, I really enjoyed both my art and science classes. Um, and even though I enjoyed both art and science was not something I saw myself pursuing, and that was mainly because I saw very few scientists that looked like me. So I didn't see myself in that field. However, I saw artists that looked like me, so I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll become an art teacher. And for a long time, that was my thinking. Until sophomore year, when I got Mr. Bannon as my chemistry teacher. And Mr. Bannon was a teacher who had a reputation of being one of the toughest teachers in my high school. But I'm actually thankful for that experience. And that's because through his class, I fell in love with chemistry. And here are the 4 reasons why I fell in love with chemistry. The first thing is chemistry is known as the central science. So if you look at this diagram, you see that physics is on the bottom. Then there's chemistry, and followed by astronomy, biology, and other sciences. So why is chemistry the central science? Firstly, physics is the foundational science, meaning that the principles discovered in physics are what all other sciences are based on. Now, chemistry is the field of science that takes those principles and makes sense of it through matter, which we'll talk about later. And other scientific fields use what's learned in chemistry to make sense of their discipline. So essentially, chemistry makes sense of physics through everyday matter, and then other fields like biology and earth science make sense of their fields through chemistry. So chemistry is known as the central science. Now, why was this helpful for me? I love learning by making connections to things. And in fact, that's probably one of the best ways to learn. It helps you solidify that knowledge and make sense of it. And not just know it for the test, but know it for future tests or know it for future classes or just know it just in case you want to do a fun trivia game. So learning chemistry helped me make connections to other science classes and find common themes in science. And that made that class really enjoyable for me. The second reason why I fell in love with chemistry is it helped strengthen my math skills. So why is that? You know, we just said that math is physics is the foundational science, but math is the foundation for all sciences. So if you look at this diagram again, underneath physics, you'll see math. And that's because in physics and other sciences as well, if you come up with a theory or you have a principle, you have to prove it through math. You have to quantify it through math. So that's why a lot of times in your science classes, you'll see like equations and formulas and things like that. And that's because math is sort of like the language of truth for scientists. You can't just say, I have observed this thing without having some math to sort of back it up somewhere along the line. So because I got to use math in a real world way through labs and some practice problems in my chemistry class, chemistry was a class that helped me make sense of the math that I was learning. The third reason why I fell in love with chemistry, before I get into, I just want to tell you what chemistry is again, because that will help you to understand. So chemistry is known as the study of matter, and that includes what matter is made of, how matter changes, and the properties of matter. Now, when I say matter, the official definition of matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. So a lot of times when we experience matter, it's with super big things or things that are on the same scale that we are. And that can be something like medicine that you take or chemicals that you use to clean with or food that you eat, right? Those will all be examples of matter. But things as tiny as little air particles, little air gases, those are also examples of matter. And even though we cannot see them, we can actually feel them, right? Like when the wind blows, we're actually feeling the air particle hit against our skin. So as I said, chemistry is a study of matter, and matter can be big or can be small. Now, why is that? That's because matter is actually all matter. It's made of really tiny, tiny atoms, atoms that we can't see. So even as something as tiny as the tip of a pencil, if you were to zoom in, you would see trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of little tiny atoms. Now, because we can't see atoms, people oftentimes find chemistry difficult to understand and conceptualize. But this is the third reason why I fell in love with chemistry, is because actually chemistry is quite visual. Even though we can't see atoms, it's visual. And the reason why it's visual is because it helps when you draw and think about, or also known as model, matter as tiny circles, also known as particles. So in chemistry, I had an opportunity to do a lot of drawings, whether it was in class when I was taking notes or at home when I was studying and trying to understand things. Chemistry gave me an opportunity to draw. And the fourth and final reason that I fell in love with chemistry is that it was fun. So chemical reactions are fun to observe, and learning about how chemical reactions work was fun for me. For example, if we take two colorless or clear liquids and we mix them together, and then all of a sudden this yellow solid known as a precipitate comes out. Why is that? Or why is it when we burn different metals like lithium, strontium, sodium, copper, and potassium, they have different color flames? And why is it when we take a piece of sodium metal and we put it in water that all these sparks come up? But if we do something with like aluminum or gold and we put that in water, there are no sparks. So all of this was super fun for me to learn about these reactions and how they worked. So I'm hoping through the four ways that I fell in love with chemistry, you will experience that as well in this class. So I'm hoping that this class will help you make connections to other sciences like I was able to, and strengthen your math skills, and give you an opportunity to practice modeling, which again is like drawing things to represent things that maybe you can't see or experience otherwise. And finally, have fun. So in summary, this is sort of what this class will hopefully be about for you. And so with that being said, I just want to end by thanking Mr. Bannon, who helped foster my love of chemistry and also encouraged me to pursue chemistry. Even though I was enjoying it and I was having fun, he still gave me that final nudge to say, hey, you can do this. So thank you, Mr. Bannon, wherever you are. And thank you all for listening. Have a quality day.